If you're considering a move to Cincinnati, one of your biggest questions is probably, should you live on the east side or the west side? These two areas have distinct cultures, lifestyles, and even home prices. But which side is the best side of Cincinnati for your lifestyle? Cincinnati is known for its strong neighborhood identities. In fact, it goes much deeper than just east side or west side. However, many locals live their entire lives on just one side of the city. But for newcomers, it can be really tricky to figure out what are the key differences. By the end of this video, you'll have a clear idea whether the east side or west side is right for you. If you have questions, drop a comment or reach out. All of my contact information is in the video description. And I would love to help you with your home search. But first, let's get to the bottom of this east side, west side debate. We're gonna look at 6 factors here on how to help you evaluate which side of Cincinnati you wanna live on. The first factor is one I think is really hard to define for people and even harder to just do a quick internet search to figure out from afar. And that's the lifestyle or vibe of the area. So starting off with this lifestyle or vibe, I would say the east side is the trendier side. It's definitely the kind of more hip side. There is certainly some cool hip places on the west side. However, when we talk about the people who are looking for the trendiest places and they want to live close to the best restaurants, they're typically picking the east side, and there's good reason for that. There's a lot of great neighborhoods on the east side that have these great kind of town square, little downtown of the neighborhood areas, and those areas tend to have some of the best restaurants we have in the city that aren't, downtown or in OTR. So that makes them really appealing. They're also neighborhoods that tend to be more walkable on the east side. So you can kind of have that lifestyle in which you can walk to different places rather than having to get into a car for going out at a restaurant or any night out. As I mentioned, there are some exceptions. There's some really trendy hip places on the west side as well. Some of the areas that I would call out specifically in that are the Incline District, which is in Price Hill. I would call out North Side and also College Hill. Those last two, some of the locals are actually going to argue with me that those aren't west side neighborhoods. However, if you look on the map, they are. They're on the west side. Some people, I think, just try to take them out of the west side because they are the trendier hip places to be on the west side. Okay, but let's not just talk about the exceptions. What is the west side when it comes to lifestyle and vibe? I think this is more of a community focused, it's more residential, it is less walkable. However, if the lifestyle you're trying to live is more of a homebody lifestyle, you're not really trying to go to those hip restaurants every night or every weekend, you might want to consider the west side because you can certainly get more home for your money on the west side. That means more home, that means more yard, that means more everything. You can afford more on the west side. But I wouldn't just say like, oh, you have to go to the west side if you want something more affordable. There's a lot of other good reasons to be on the west side. A lot of the areas on the west side have these great festivals, especially in the summer or around Lent, because there's a lot of Catholic and especially German Catholic communities on the west side. You'll have these local fish fries, which I think coming in as an outsider, you're like, what do you mean a local fish fry? It's actually a really big part of the culture. And you'll have other things like big Oktoberfest. When I say big, I don't necessarily mean that they're huge events, but they're like things that people really look forward to. So those community events are really important for the lifestyle on the west side. Giving the east side comparison for those strong generational communities, the east side has more people who didn't grow up here. So it doesn't have those generational communities as strongly as we do on the west side. However, neighborhood identity is still important, and you're still seeing people with a lot of pride for their neighborhood and a lot of people who are really getting involved in the community as well. So you can find that both on the east side and the west side. However, it's just going to look a little bit different on either side. Factor 2 might be the most important factor. It's the home price. And we mentioned this in the lifestyle and vibe factor. The home prices on the west side are more affordable. And what does that mean for you? It means you can still buy homes, frankly, even under $200,000 on the west side. It's not going to be the average, but there are certainly livable homes that you can buy under $200,000, which is really unthinkable in a lot of cities in America. What makes it more unthinkable is we're not talking about tiny homes or manufactured homes. These homes are oftentimes brick, craftsman, tutors, interesting architecture, hardwood, original hardwood that has really great character in it. Now, not every option, every affordable option is going to have all of those details, but you can find it there. If you care about those things and your budget is tighter, you might be looking on the west side to find your best option. So to give some examples here, we're looking at a median price of about $250,000 in Westwood, $200,000 in Cheviot, $275,000 in Delhi, and yes, Delhi, not Delhi. It looks like Delhi, the city in India. It's Delhi. And then Bridgetown, $300,000. So really affordable options on the west side. On the east side, for comparison, you're gonna have places like Hyde Park. It's going to be about a $600,000 median price. In Oakley, about a $450,000 median price. And then some of the more suburban places, Anderson Township, $400,000 median, and Marymount, $650,000 median. So you're looking at much more expensive average prices on the east side. You can still certainly find some very expensive homes on the west side. They're just going to be very large. And you can still find affordable homes on the east side too. So if you're looking for more affordable options, maybe look at places like Fairfax, Norwood, or Evanston as well. Those would be more affordable options on the east side. For factor 3, let's look at things to do. Like, how are you spending your time away from home when you're on the east side or the west side? So let's starting with the east side. I think you have access to some really great parks, and I would give the east side the edge as far as if you're considering parks. I also give the east side the edge if you're going to prioritize your access to restaurants and bars and nightlife. Obviously, the west side has restaurants and bars and nightlife, but like the most popular ones tend to be on the east side. The east side also has great representation in something that Cincinnati is really known for, which is the brewery scene. Most of the major and most popular breweries are on the east side. And give another point for the east side in regards to coffee shops. I think the best coffee shops are on the east side. And again, you of course have all of those options on the west side too. And things to do on the west side, you can't give the east side all of the points for the parks and kind of getting out in the outdoors. The west side has Mount Airy Forest, which is one of the largest urban forests in the country, and maybe the largest. And so if you're actually trying to get out in a park for hiking, that's actually kind of on the west side. In fact, I would say one of the things that isn't really discussed is the west side's prettier. I mean, I think that's kind of easy to say. The east side gets some credit there because we've got some great architecture and stuff on the east side. However, like the natural elements of the west side are gorgeous. I mean, it's just hilly and a lot of trees. The natural aesthetic on the west side is just really hard to beat. Also on the west side, when it hits summer, it seems like there's some local festival happening every weekend. So you definitely have more of these community events that are really focused in on the west side. So I'm going to give the west side credit there. And the fourth factor, schools and education. So if proximity to schools is an important factor for you, this is an interesting topic. And I think if you have some detailed questions, we've got some great resources we can point you to that are coming from independent sources that are experts on this topic. And that's how we handle that with our clients. So if you have those questions, we can get the resources to you. However, to cover the basics, I would say if you're looking to be near the best public schools, there's more of the higher ranked public schools on the east side. However, on the west side, you have some really great private schools. So a lot of options over there. Cincinnati has a lot of great schools. So you have a lot of great options here. One thing that was interesting to me moving here from somewhere else is there's a lot of focus on those private schools. So that was a little bit different. I didn't expect so many people to be going to private school. So it's a factor to look into that maybe you weren't considering already, and it's something that you just want to know more about. So again, let us know if you have specific questions and we'll get you the right resource. Factor 5, your commute. This is a really important factor and it will depend based on where you're commuting to, right? So if your job is on the west side, then okay, that's an easier commute for you. If your job is on the east side, that's an easier commute for you. For most people though, they're not going east or west to their job. They're probably going kind of, north to some of the suburban offices or more likely downtown. So if you are in that last cohort, which is most people, the easiest commute is likely from the east side. There's just more direct routes on the east side. It has less of, the hills to contend with, and, the roads just tend to get to the highway quick and then down I-71 to downtown. And if you're commuting downtown from the west side, you can know that your commute may be a little bit longer and it's likely less direct. The roads are just a little more meandering on the west side based on having so many hills. Also, traffic can get backed up. What's interesting is if you notice the locals, they're experts on finding alternate routes because there's a lot of different ways to get to the same place from the west side, and it's just how those roads are designed. In my opinion, driving on the west side can get a little crazy, especially if you're new to the area, but I'm sure if you live on the west side, you get used to that. And also in those alternate situations in which your job is not downtown, it is more likely skewed to the east side. It has more of those job centers on the east side rather than fewer on the west side. So again, just take a look at where your work is on the map and you can kind of map that out. And we have some additional resources that are really great to give you a real idea of what your commute's going to look like. And the sixth factor is community feel and culture. On the east side, I would say you have a higher percentage of people who did not grow up in Cincinnati. I would say that leads to kind of more future focus, less tied to the past, less tied to tradition, and more future looking on the east side. On the west side, those generational ties go deep. You are more likely to know your neighbors well on the west side, especially if you're sticking around for a while, because they've been there for a while. You're not having all of the same turnover that you might see on the east side, having more of a population that's not necessarily all from here. So on the west side, you have that opportunity to kind of ingrain into that community, although it can be a little bit more difficult because again, you are moving here from outside and they have been there for a long time in a lot of cases. All right, so which one's right for you? I'd love to know in the comments your thoughts, or what did we miss? What questions do you still have? But to summarize, I would say choose the east side if you're looking for a more modern, fast-paced lifestyle with access to more entertainment and shopping. The east side's probably your best bet. And choose the west side if you're looking for that strong sense of community, a more affordable option for housing, and family-friendly traditions. If school's your biggest factor, you might choose the east side to have access to some of the best public options, and you might look at the west side for some of the best private schools. And if you're moving here for work and that's your biggest factor, you might also consider the east side for that easier commute and probably closer access to where you're going to be going to the office, especially if it's downtown or if it's in some of the suburban office parks and places like Blue Ash. If you're thinking about buying a home in Cincinnati and want expert advice, reach out and I would love to talk through what's the best neighborhood and best area for you. If this topic was helpful, hit that like button and be sure to subscribe for more content like this, and go to the comments here to let me know what is your favorite neighborhood in Cincinnati.